Welcome back. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about 11 unpopular truths about manifestation that most people avoid because it requires you to be honest with yourself. It requires you to be honest with and about your patterns. And it even sometimes requires you to be honest about your desires themselves. And I wish that somebody told these things to me 8 years ago when I was brand new to the concept of consciously being able to manifest your desires and your reality. But at that time, and like a lot of the content that's out there right now, it was mostly focused around being positive and doing a lot of affirmations on repeat. And maybe that works really well for the average person. And great for them. But I'm not an average person, and neither are you if you're here. And that probably also means that you're already ready to hear these unpopular truths. But some of them might feel uncomfortable. They might even make you feel frustrated because they go against so much of what you've already been told. And I get it, because some of these things really frustrated me when I finally understood them, because I felt like it was a lot of wasted time and I was upset that nobody had told me any sooner. However, the point is that we know now, and I am able to share these things with you from firsthand experience. And the thing is, once you're ready to hear them, which you are because you're here, you will start manifesting the results you want. Okay? Number 1. Manifestation can become easy, but it is not effortless. Now listen, before you panic, I'm not talking about that you're going to need to work your ass off in order to achieve your manifestations. I'm not talking about you're going to need to subscribe to hustle culture. Not at all. And also, listen, I get wanting things to be extremely easy. I get not wanting to have to do very much to have things come to you. I am an ex-overachiever who spent the majority of my life working extremely hard and self-abandoning in order to try to achieve my goals. And I also learned that that didn't work for many reasons that we often talk about on this channel. However, many of you, and I have in the past too, which is what initially kind of attracted me to manifestation, and I bet a lot of you guys can relate, is this mentality of, I want it, but I don't want to have to do anything in order to get it. Now, I just want to start by clarifying, for those of you who might be worrying about this, is it technically possible to simply decide what you want, to declare it to, whether you want to call it your unconscious mind or to the universe, to declare that this is what you want and to set that intention out into the universe and simply sit back and it's just going to show up in your life? The answer is, yeah, absolutely. That absolutely can happen. However, many times, and actually, I'm just going to be bold and say oftentimes, what is going to be required in order for you to become a magnet to whatever it is that you want to change in your life, whatever it is that you are wanting to call in, there are going to be some things that need to change. And when I say things that are going to need to change, some of those are going to need to be on your part. It means that there may need to be some growth that happens on your part in order to become the version of you who would naturally have the things and the kind of life that you want. If it showed up today and you weren't ready for it, you wouldn't be ready for it. And it would all end up blowing up in your face in one way or another. It would either feel extremely stressful due to the very nature of your life or the kind of habits that you currently have. It might feel like it's something that is difficult to maintain because you don't currently have the skills or the belief system or, again, the lifestyle necessary to be able to maintain it. Another example of this is for those of you who are wanting to manifest relationships. You may need to be building some skills like relationship skills, communication skills, etc. You may need to be working on your self-confidence and your self-worth because you want to become a match to that kind of person, right? Who has good self-confidence, who treats themselves well. You have certain things that you want in your ideal relationship. Are you currently a match to those things? If you were to manifest a partner right now, and they were an exact match of you at the moment, would you be okay with that? And I know that a lot of you, if you're honest, are going to say, oh, hell no, which is okay. That just means that you have things to work on improving, work on loving about yourself, work on growing so that you are ready for that relationship. Manifestation can become easy once you've already put in the foundational effort, if you will, in order to become vibrationally aligned with what you want. And on top of that, let's just talk about technical effort here. We all know that part of manifesting what we want is programming our unconscious, our subconscious minds for having what we want to be normal. And sometimes even for having what we want to feel safe. So if you simply expect that because you've decided that you want something, or that you've done a couple affirmations and you expect it to show up, you're not really being honest with yourself. Number 2, you cannot bypass deep conditioning and resistance even with positive thinking alone. A lot of you know this. However, a lot of you also don't know because there's so much manifestation content out there that purely teaches us to focus on being positive. Make sure that you are constantly flipping your thoughts, right? If you're thinking a negative thought about what you want, you're supposed to stop in your tracks and flip the thought and don't ever let yourself think negatively. Listen, being positive is great. Making sure that your environment is relatively positive and healthy for you, and that generally speaking, you are taking in quote unquote positive content on social media, etc. Those are all really great things, but not if you are bypassing or essentially ignoring resistance or fears that come up. That is an incredibly natural part of any process of changing your mindset and essentially changing who you are. Because in order to manifest something different than what you're experiencing right now, part of you is going to have to change. And that is scary, at least to part of us. And I might just take this as a quick opportunity to touch on something from my last video that I feel like maybe got a little bit misunderstood by some of you. Some of you thought that what I was saying or affirming for you is that you need to only be focusing on positive things. When you ignore the things that people tend to call negative feelings, they may be able to be suppressed for a while, but they will eventually come up to the surface. And they are surfacing in order to communicate to you what parts of your life are out of alignment. Do not avoid your sadness. Do not avoid your fear. Do not avoid your anger. That is toxic positivity, okay? Those things are coming up for a reason. Some of those things either need some deep healing, and some of them need integration in a way of you changing certain things in your life that make it easier for you to, again, be able to manifest whatever it is that you want, but also be able to live a life in authenticity, which is huge when it comes to not only just being a magnetic person who easily attracts what you want, but truly being able to get fulfillment out of life. Because it is not enough to just get the things that we want if we're not actually feeling fulfilled. Okay, Number 3, if you manifest through hard work, then you will have to keep working hard in order to maintain whatever it is that you got. Now, when I say hard work, the reason I'm emphasizing the word hard is because I mean some way that causes you to feel drained, that leads to burnout, that leads to health issues, that leads to misalignment. A key thing to remember about manifestation is that while you can have anything that you want, you don't actually manifest what you want. You manifest more of who and what you already are, purely because everything is energy. And so in order to manifest what you want, you need to be aligned with it. This is an example that I just brought up with a client this morning. Let's say that you are wanting to manifest your dream home and a really large monthly income. Let's come up with a different number than I was using with my client. Let's say it's $70,000 a month, right? Okay, so I'm going to ask you then, if those were your goals, what do you think you would expect to feel as a result of having $70,000 a month and your ultimate dream home? Now, a lot of you are going to say things like freedom. I would feel happy. I would feel calm. I would feel confident. You get the idea, something like that. It's always going to be some kind of combination of these kind of things as to what we think we're going to feel once we get what we want. But if you go about trying to achieve that $70,000 a month or your dream house through a whole lot of hustle, through doing a whole lot of things that you don't want to have to do, through trying to force it to happen right now on a specific timeline that causes you to feel extreme stress, then let's go back to, again, the concept that everything is energy and everything is on an energetic frequency. So your ultimate dream home and receiving, keyword, that $70,000 a month in a way that allows you to feel calm and free and happy is up here on a high frequency, right? You being in a state of chronic stress and burnout and having to worry about money and, oh my gosh, will I ever be able to qualify for a home, et cetera, is down here on a much lower frequency, right? So if the way that you are going about trying to achieve those two goals is in a way that causes you to feel even more stress and even further burnout and a lack of freedom, right? Then that means that you are still down here on a super low frequency. So that means that the only way that you are going to end up attracting that money and that home that you want is through more things that will continue to feel really hard, that will continue to burn you out. So in order for you to manifest the money and the home in this situation, or whatever it is that you want for that matter, in a way that's going to allow you to feel free and calm and happy and all the things, is you have to start doing things in your life right now. You have to consciously be making changes in your life that allow you to feel more freedom, more calm, more happiness. And that is in your control. And then your frequency rises, and that means that you are now on the frequency where you are able to attract money from a place of freedom, from a place of calm. Number 4, this one's very, very unpopular, and you guys will know why. Affirmations are not enough for long-term results, especially long-term aligned results with your manifestations. Affirmations, at least a lot of them out there, tend to be either very cookie cutter, or they are written by somebody else who maybe those particular affirmations do align with. But what if those affirmations don't align with you? Then you're going to be forcing yourself to say or to listen to a lot of statements that keep triggering resistance within you. And that in and of itself will block manifestations long term. Now, yeah, sometimes a lot of affirmations, as we hear a lot of people telling us we should be doing in the manifestation community, a lot of times they do work for people in the short term. I don't know about you, but I want long-term manifestation results. I want things that last. I don't know even why I'm asking you, because I know that if you're here, that you're that kind of person too. The other thing, though, is that if we expect affirmations alone to manifest the things that we want long-term without doing the things we talked about in point number 1, without actually starting to create transformation in our own lives to get ready for our manifestations to come in, to start preparing for the kind of things that we might be doing, the kind of person that we want to be, sorry, it's hot and sweaty, so I keep getting sweat that's sticking to my arm. If we want to feel good, if we want to feel calm, if we want to feel relaxed, if we want to feel happy, if we want to feel free, whatever it is, once you get your manifestation, then again, you have to start feeling that way, doing things that make you feel that way right now. And if there are skills that you need, and if there's growth that needs to happen, like we've already said, but you're choosing not to do those things because you just want the affirmations to change those things for you, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And again, I get it, because I know that there are so many people who have told you that all you have to do is affirmations. Now, let me be clear on something. Here's what affirmations really do help you with long term. As you start to listen to affirmations, specifically ones that feel aligned with you, which is why when you work with me in one-on-one coaching and I create your custom manifestation toolkit, I make sure that every single affirmation and everything that I put into your custom visualization aligns with you specifically, okay? But when you are actually listening to affirmations or visualizations or whatever that actually align with you, they are going to start to program your subconscious mind to expect to receive them, to be the kind of person who would attract those things. And what will happen over time is that it makes it much easier for you to feel naturally called to do things differently, to try new things, to go new places, and so on. So they're really great for that. But you can get ahead of the game and fast track this whole process as much as humanly possible by making sure that you are doing both. Number 5, and this one came up in coaching today, and we've all been guilty of this one, and I'm going to say why here in a second. If you try to control the how and the when your manifestation will come to you, you will always limit the what can show up for you. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. If you try to control the how something comes to you or the when something is going to happen, you will always limit what can ultimately come to you, what can ultimately happen for you. What this means is that if you are so focused on it has to happen this one specific way, it has to happen on this specific timeline by this specific point, then you are limiting what can possibly come to you, because maybe some things need to happen behind the scenes for a little while. Again, maybe a little bit of growth needs to happen. Maybe there are people behind the scenes that have made a decision to do something that eventually connects to you, whether that be somebody just a few months down the road decides to open up an opportunity or open up a company or open up a job opportunity or whatever that's going to bring you ultimately your manifestation in a way that would truly, fully fulfill you. Maybe the person that you are ultimately meant to meet, the person that you actually truly want, you just need to wait a little bit. You need to wait. I'm not even going to say how long, but maybe you need to wait for a couple circumstances that you will never be able to see to happen to bring that person into your world. And I understand why we do this. We all love to try to control things because it is a survival mechanism. We all think that if we can know every step of how something's going to happen and when it's going to happen, then not only will we be fully prepared, but that we can prevent any negative outcomes from happening. How well is that working for you? Because it really hasn't worked well for me. And I know that if you're honest with yourself, you're going to see that the same thing is true for you. When we try to force, when we try to rush things, we end up sometimes manifesting things before we are actually even ready for them. And something that I have realized through all this stuff I've been going through lately, and even just over the course of the last couple of years, is that a lot of my big dreams, if they had manifested at any other point in my life, if they had manifested sooner, I wouldn't have been ready for them. I wouldn't have had the knowledge to be able to share. I wouldn't have had the growth that attuned me to the authentic message, the aligned message that I actually want to be able to share, to be able to help people. And a lot of the things that I would have ended up manifesting either would have fallen through, or I know me, a lot of really negative things would have happened to me through my health, and things that have manifested for me later than I thought they should have ended up being so much better and so much more fulfilling, which has allowed me to remember that every time I've gotten impatient with a manifestation not showing up like super, super quick. We always think we want what we want right now because we think that in some way, shape, or another, we're going to feel better or our lives are going to be better. But that's not always what's going to happen. A lot of times we're not actually ready for whatever it is that we're calling in. So the good news is that we have some time to get ready for it. And then, spiritually speaking, I know this one does not feel logical. I know it doesn't feel rational. And I know it's hard to have faith. I know it's hard to trust. But there are always things that happen behind the scenes that we can't see. So you got to stop trying to control the how and the when. Okay. Number 6. Oh, this one. Alignment doesn't always feel good. What do I mean by that? That sounds kind of weird, right? When I say alignment doesn't always feel good, what I'm saying is that in the process of becoming the person that you want to be, in the process of becoming the version of you that you need to be, in order to have your manifestations, specifically, I cannot say this enough, in a way that is actually going to feel fulfilling to you. Not just to get what it is you want for the sake of getting it. Get it in a way that's actually going to feel good to you. In the process of getting there, a lot of the things that have to happen, a lot of the changes that we have to make, don't feel good up front. It's really hard to change our habits. I'm not going to lie. I know it's hard. It's hard to change who you are because it's your identity. It's who you've decided you are. It's how you've decided you do things. It's how you've decided that you think. So when you say, all right, I want to manifest this new thing, I want to manifest this changing in my life, and maybe you realize that that's going to require you having more confidence, or you working on your relationship skills, or you working on regulating your nervous system and teaching yourself that you don't need to be hustling in order to make money. As you go through the process of changing those habits or rewiring those beliefs and making yourself stick to those new habits, even if that's just doing your affirmations every day, it's not comfortable. And if we don't talk about that, then we expect it to feel easy. But when we stick to those things, when we are trusting our intuition, which I might just take just a quick second to reiterate, your intuition is your authority in human design. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I highly suggest you look up your human design chart. That is also something that I do in one-on-one coaching. I have single sessions for this entirely because there are 9 different types of authority, or like, as I like to call it, the form of intuition that you were born with, your natural internal guidance system. And it's not the same as everybody else's, which is so interesting because as I've learned more about the different types of authority in human design, it's made me realize that all the different types of advice that we get about how to make decisions, whether that's trust your gut, listen to your intuition, sleep on it, give it 24 hours, make a pros and cons list, those all align with the different authority types in human design. So if you follow somebody who tells you that you need to make a pros and cons list, but you have sacral authority that in which you're supposed to just trust that first initial gut hell yes or hell no, then you're not going to be making decisions that are aligned with you. But when you're trusting your internal guidance system, when you're trusting your intuition, and you start making the decisions, you start making the changes, you start following the habits that you know are aligning you with the person you want to be, the person that would have what you want, and ultimately aligning with what you want, then yes, at first, it's not going to feel good, but long-term change, positive change is going to start to happen. You're going to start to see things start flowing in that you want, and it just gets easier and easier and easier. But it is important to recognize, at least at first, that yeah, initially when you're starting to align to your desires and the person you want to be, it doesn't feel good, and that's okay. Number 7, we've touched on this a little bit, but I really want to expand on this. If you are not willing to become an energetic match to what you want or the person that you want to become, you either will never get your manifestation at all, or you will never ever get it in a way that actually feels aligned with you, that never actually feels fulfilling to you. If you cannot feel good before you manifest it, if you cannot feel safe before you manifest it, if you cannot feel confident before you manifest it, if you cannot feel love or peace or calm or whatever it is before you manifest it, at least part of the time. We're not looking for 100% perfect because that doesn't exist and it's not realistic. But if you aren't doing those things, if you aren't creating a life where you get to feel that way more often, then the way that you always manifest what you want, like we already talked about with the career and dream home example, will either constantly be in ways that always feel like they don't work for you, they drain you, they feel completely inauthentic to you, you always have to do things that you don't want to do to keep them coming in. Or you'll be the person, like so many of us have been, maybe this has been you right now, who it seems like manifestation never works for. So then you end up assuming that manifestation just doesn't work, and then you give up. And I don't blame you. I totally get it. Especially if you've been expecting manifestation to work simply because of a couple of affirmations that you did or something like that. Number 8, if you are jealous or judgmental, especially of the people who already have the things that you want, essentially what you are telling to the universe is that having what you want would make you a bad person, which energetically blocks what you want and, spiritually speaking, communicates to the universe, I don't really want this because clearly I think that the people who have this are bad, that there's something wrong with them, and I don't want to be like that. Oh, well, that girl's probably a bitch, and that's why she has that guy, and he doesn't really know who she is, or he just is with her for her looks, or I don't know, she doesn't even have a good enough voice to be a singer, and I'm a much better singer than her, or whatever. You guys get the idea, right? We've all done this at some point or another. Let's just be honest right here, right now. When we're doing that, what are we doing? We're leveling. We're trying to make ourselves feel better than that person because we're ultimately feeling triggered that somebody has what we want and we don't. So instead of being jealous or judgmental, stop yourself, start catching yourself when you notice that and go, oh, wow, that obviously means that I want what that person has. So let's look within. What changes do I need to make? What growth do I need to do in order to become more of what I want? Have I been on top of reprogramming my subconscious mind? No, probably not. Okay, time to get on top of that. All those things are within your control, and then you won't feel a need to be jealous or judgmental of anybody. And then you stop telling the universe that it's a bad thing to have what you want. Okay, number 9. I think we got 3 more, so let's get through it. Stay with me. Oh, yes. This is one that I feel like does not get talked about in manifestation at all. And that is that the very process of manifestation often requires patience. Ew, I know a lot of you are getting triggered by the word patience. And is even sometimes a little bit boring. Brain reprogramming over time. We've got our routines every day. Making aligned choices and changes on a daily or weekly basis in the process of getting what we want. That can feel mundane sometimes. And we are trained, which my next video will be about, we are trained to expect everything to be so fast-paced and exciting and good things are happening all the time and dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. That's not actually healthy for you. That doesn't actually create a really healthy energy for becoming a magnet to what you want. And because of all the points that we've already talked about, because of all the unpopular truths about manifestation we've already gone over, you know that sometimes there's got to be this period of the void before your manifestation shows up for a variety of reasons. Does that always happen? No. Sometimes things will manifest lightning quick, and it's always, well, you know what? I shouldn't say that. It can be really, really cool and really fun when that happens. But again, if you're not ready for it, then we kind of don't want certain things to always come in right away before we've had a chance to both get ready for them and before the universe has had a chance to get everything ready to line everything up and get it ready to actually make us the happiest we could be with having those things. But that process, in the meantime, I don't want to call it waiting, because you shouldn't be waiting for your manifestation to show up in order to be happy. I understand why you feel that way. I really do. But you are already a powerful person. You already have the power to start improving your life and making your life feel more that way. And that, my dear friends, is exactly what makes your manifestations come in so much quicker, because that's what brings you into alignment with them. But just know ahead of time that if the process of where you're doing the brain reprogramming through affirmations or visualization or whatever it is that you're using, maybe you're using one of my toolkits. And for those of you who are loving them so far, that is amazing. I love getting those emails. I actually just got one the other day from a client who had been using his custom toolkit for, I don't think it was more than a month or 2. And one of his goals was a specific amount of weight loss, and it happened. So if you're watching, I'm so proud of you. And that's the kind of stuff that can happen when you're consistent with those tools. But in the process, it doesn't always feel super exciting. You're not always going to be flooded with dopamine, and that's okay. Oh, I just realized that I skipped over one. So anyway, we're going back to this one. Unpopular truth about manifestation is, and I know this one is really uncomfortable, you might lose things in the process of manifesting what you want, in the process of manifesting becoming the person that you want to be. You might lose jobs. You might lose friends. You might lose other kinds of relationships. You might even lose parts of, or I'm not going to say all of, parts of your own self-identity. But that is because a lot of times those things have to happen in order to actually get you what you want. And I feel like you probably understand why at this point. But I'll just say that staying the same makes you stay the same. I mean, that sounds so obvious, but staying the same makes your life stay the same, which makes you keep the same habits. It makes you keep tolerating the same kinds of things in relationships. Maybe they're not really what you want. Maybe you're not actually able to truly be yourself in those relationships. It makes you keep attracting the same kinds of things, the same kinds of people, the same kinds of situations, the same kinds of health or things about your physical appearance. You know this already. So we go back to one of our other truths where I said that alignment doesn't always feel good. Sometimes that's true, but if you realize that ahead of time, then you won't be pressuring yourself thinking that you're supposed to be feeling super high vibe and super positive the whole time that you are manifesting, the whole time that you're manifesting transformation in your life. If you know that sometimes those things are part of the process, then you'll know that you're not doing anything wrong. So just know that even though this isn't something that gets talked about a lot, if things are falling away, if you're losing things or people, it's understandable that it feels like, oh my God, things are going wrong. I'm not actually going to get my manifestation. Don't think that. Sometimes you need to let those things fall away. Actually, let yourself grieve it. Let yourself feel whatever it is that you feel through the process. Do not try to fight it, and don't try to positive your way through that. Okay, last one. Truth number 11, unpopular truth number 11 about manifestation. And this is a huge one, okay? I could make a million videos on this topic. It comes up with every single client that I work with because, in my opinion, it's the most important thing about manifestation. And it is the number one reason why people are not manifesting what they want, what you want. If getting what you say you want does not feel fully aligned with all parts of you, okay, not just one part of you, then you will either never get it or you will continue unconsciously sabotaging your ability to be able to get it or maintain it. This means that if you have resistance or fear, let me go back for just a second. If some part of you, even if it's a small part, even if you feel like the reasons feel illogical, maybe part of you is like, that's not true. I'm amazing. I can manifest whatever I want. Other people have done it, right? You need to not just listen to that part, especially if fears and resistance are coming up. If they're not, cool, groovy. I don't know why I said groovy. I don't talk like that. It just kind of came to me. But if you have resistance or fear that comes up about getting what you want, it means that there is some part of you that believes that if you were to get what you want, or in the process of actually getting there, that you are either going to have to do something that you don't want to do, become someone that you don't want to be, that something bad, something unwanted is going to happen. If part of you believes that about whatever it is that you want, then it will constantly block you from getting it. And this is why I am such a believer in shadow work and different forms of shadow work. It's why I do it with every single client. It's why I've talked about it so much on this channel. Because if you listen to that part that says maybe, oh, I'm scared that I would have to do a job that I don't want to do in order to make the money that I want, or work really hard, right? Work all kinds of crazy hours, or I would have to give up who I actually am in order to be in a relationship. Whatever it is, essentially you think that something's going to happen or you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do. If you listen to that part and then you take that a step further and you start asking yourself, what would you need in order for it to feel safe to get what you want? And I don't mean safe in the sense of staying in your comfort zone. And I don't even necessarily mean sometimes this is applicable, but I don't necessarily mean physically safe from harm or violence or something like that. I'm saying what would make it feel emotionally safe? What would make it feel safe to your nervous system in order to manifest that? And when you can listen to that resistance, when you can listen to that voice that's trying to tell you, I'm scared of actually manifesting this because the only way that I've ever seen it done is something that I don't want, so I'm going to stop you from doing it. When you listen to that voice, you'll be able to get your two parts to work together. Now, a lot of times what comes up when you start listening to this, if you're not used to practicing shadow work, is the other voice will kick in and be like, no, but I do want that money. No, but I do want that body. No, but I do want that relationship. So, what I have to do is do extreme dieting or is do a lot of work or whatever it is that you don't really want to be doing. And as long as you only listen to that voice, you're going to keep running into the same patterns over and over and over. And your body will shut you down. Your body will find ways of stopping you from manifesting those things. You've already seen it. You've already seen it in your life. And so have I, a million times. That's why I was sick for so many years. It's why I started getting sick again this year, because I needed to be listening to what my part or parts were saying about what changes I needed to be making in order for getting what I want to feel safe. In one of those examples for me is, like we talked about a couple of videos ago, is to stop self-abandoning. It means no longer accepting, no longer being willing to do even one thing that I know is bringing me out of alignment with who I am or who I want to be or how I want to be living my life. So whatever it is that you want, I want you to listen to those fears that you have, whatever it is that you're afraid of having to do or become. And then start asking yourself what you would need, what changes would need to happen in order for you to no longer be afraid of that, or essentially in order for you to know that it's not going to happen in a way that doesn't feel good to you. And maybe some of you need to be looking for more proof of other people who've been able to do what you want in ways that feel easier, in ways that don't burn them out. Maybe you need examples of people who've gotten into healthy, aligned relationships. Whatever it is, start showing your subconscious mind that it is possible, because it is. If you look for proof, you will find it. If you look for proof to prove that it's not possible, you will find it. That is the way our subconscious minds work. And then secondly, you got to then make a promise to yourself, create boundaries with yourself where you say, okay, since I want this thing in a way that makes me feel fulfilled, I will no longer say yes to things that I know do not align with me, that I know drain me, that I know cause me to have to abandon myself. And then what you will notice is the walls will come down because there's that trust being built with yourself. That part of you is saying, oh, wait, maybe it doesn't have to be awful to get it. Maybe we can do this in a way that feels right to me. And then your manifestations will start coming in. Mark my words. So I want you to let me know which of the 11 truths really stood out to you the most. Even let me know maybe which one kind of triggered you the most, but you realize that in being triggered, that's something that you really need to be focused on. If you need extra help, support, guidance, and accountability, you're more than welcome to sign up for one of my one-on-one coaching packages or Your Unique Life Purpose Human Design sessions, or one of my manifestation toolkits in the description box below. I sincerely intend that this video helped you. If it did, please take a moment to subscribe and leave this video a thumbs up. It only takes you just a second, but you make a massive difference in helping me, because that is how we let YouTube know to get these videos out to more people so that we can build this community and I can help more people exactly like you. You are worthy. You are remarkable. I love you. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.